Welcome back to the Blue Review. I'm Greg Bergman. No Clinton Yates today, so you got to deal with just me. Two things I want to get to today. Starting pitching, specifically Julio Urias from last night, and stolen bases that happen within all of Major League Baseball right now and how it pertains to the Dodgers. Julio Urias last night, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs. He's now gone 10 straight innings with no earned runs after he gave up a couple in the first 2 innings in the opening night game. But he has been fantastic last night, and he added a cutter into his repertoire, which really changes the way that he's going to go about at bats. If that cutter starts working, look out for him to have a really big year, because now he is a guy, he's a catalyst. He's the type of guy that you need to be really good. Once every 5 games, you're like, Julio's on the mound, he's going to get it done. That's the guy that we need out there every single night. He is that guy. He's had the ability to be that guy for 3-4 years now because he's been the best pitcher on the staff. We got into it a little bit maybe last week about what he's going to do at the end of the year. He's a Scott Boras client. Is he going to stick around? I don't know. But we got to deal with what we have right now, and him being good is a very important to this team, and especially to this pitching staff. So, but with him and Kershaw looking good the other night, Noah Syndergaard looked good the other night where he went 6 innings with no earned runs, or 1 earned run, excuse me. Michael Grove was the only one that had a little bit of an issue in his last start, but hopefully he will fix that up, and also he's your 5th starter in that situation. Dustin May is my dude. I love that guy, and I think that him having a big year is just as big as having Julio having a big year, because that top 3, if you go Urias, Kershaw, May in any order, and the 3 of them are studs, it changes the entire way that you look out through the rest of the season, knowing that you're going to have good pitching night in, night out. I've loved what they've been doing. So this starting pitching staff, as much as people kind of were iffy about it, what's going to happen with Tony Gonsolin, who hopefully will be back at the end of April? What's going to happen with the Michael Grove, the Ryan Pepios, all these other guys? How's it all going to work out? What's going to happen with Noah Syndergaard? So far, through 6 games, this has been the best starting pitching staff in all of baseball. They are, through 35 innings, only having a 1.8 ERA has been great. Now, granted, it does have to do with you've only had to deal with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, but either way, you got to win these games, especially these ones in April. These games in April make a huge difference. May is very difficult. So if your starting pitching can be good all the way through April, and so that when you can have a little bit more wiggle room when you start playing the really tough teams in May, we're talking about the Padres and the Mets and the Cardinals and the Yankees and teams like that. I think the Rays are in there too. If you start playing those types of teams when you have a little bit of wiggle room because you beat up on Arizona, you beat up on the Rockies, which you have to do, that really helps out getting into that tough part of your schedule in May, and hopefully it starts to even itself out a little bit. So I love what the starting pitching staff has been doing. It's really helped. It's fun to watch again. So I'm just happy to be part of that again. Stolen bases. See, stolen bases to me I love the fact that you're getting those extra 6 inches, 3 on each side. And stolen bases are up throughout the league. Unfortunately, that's not this team. This is not the Dodgers. Gavin Lux, before he got injured, was going to be that guy. He was going to be the one that was going to be the kind of the table setter in that sense, where he was going to be trying to run around the bases. He was your speed guy and whether or not he has that much, he was going to be that guy. Outside of him, James Outman's very fast. Mookie Betts has some speed. Miguel Vargas and Miguel Rojas have a little bit, but they're not going to steal a ton of bases. So you're going to see what's happening right now. Through 6 games, the Dodgers have attempted to steal bases 4 times. 4 times total. They've been caught 3 times, which is the worst in all of Major League Baseball, and they've caught 1 stolen base. James Outman has the only stolen base, and that's all they have so far through 6 games. The other side of that is the Baltimore Orioles are 11 for 11 in stolen bases, and they're playing very well. Now, I don't think that's a huge deal when it's going to happen through the regular season, but when it gets into the playoffs, I think it really could have a much more bigger impact. When you have guys, when you're playing teams like the Padres, who maybe are going to try and start stealing some bases and going against this great starting pitching and trying to keep them off balance. We've seen what happens when pitchers get off balance. And I think the stolen base is something that can really help or hurt a pitching staff. And in this sense, I don't want to get too far ahead of it and get into the playoffs, but in a playoff series, if you're putting that extra pressure because you have that extra room, with the stolen base, it can change the way a series goes. An extra base taking second base, randomly getting over to third base sometimes. It puts that extra pressure, and when you do that, we've seen what happens. The Dodgers did it. It wasn't through the stolen base, but when you start putting pressure on these pitchers with this new pitch clock, you don't have time to relax. So if you put that little bit of extra, it would help, I think, for the Dodgers to be able to find a guy who would be able to be a threat at least. Hopefully it's James Outman. Maybe you can get something out of Vargas and Rojas, but I kind of doubt it. I'm not sure how much Mookie's going to actually try and steal some bases because he got caught last night. But I think if we can find somebody like that to put pressure on it and really get into the pitchers' heads, I think it'll be a huge deal, and I think it'll make a big difference later on down the line. So those are my two things. Thank you very much for watching the Blue Review. We'll be back here tomorrow, and I think Clinton will be back, but if he's not, you got me one more time. All right, see ya.